Hey, I know you
I
all
know
have a
you
lot
all
of
have a lot
questions
of
about this
questions about
lab
this lab
assignment that's coming
assignment
up,
that's
so
coming
I'm
up,
going to
so
take a
I'm
little
going
time
to
this
take a
morning to
little time
discuss
in
it.
the morning to
So,
discuss it.
you
So,
know the
you know the
assignment has to
assignment
do
has
with
to do with
spectroscopy, right?
spectroscopy, right?
And your reading should
Your
help you get a
reading
good
should
idea
help
of
you
what
get
that's
an
all about.
idea all
But
about it.
let's
But
talk
let's
about
talk about the
spectroscopy a little now,
spectroscopy a
just
little
to
now,
cover the
just to cover
basics.
the basics.
What is
What is
spectroscopy?
spectroscopy?
Well,
Well,
the
the
simplest
simplest
definition I can
definition I
give you
can
is
give
that
you is
spectroscopy is the
spectroscopy is
study
the
of the
study of the
interaction between
interaction between
matter
matter
and
and
light.
light.
Now,
Now,
visible light
visual light
consists of
consists
different
of different
colors or
colors or
wavelengths,
wavelengths,
which together
which
make up
together
what's
make
called a
up what's
spectrum,
called a
a band
spectrum,
of
a band
colors
of
like you see in
colors
a
like
rainbow.
you see in a
And
rainbow.
all
And all
substances, all
substances,
forms of matter,
all of
can be
matter, can be
distinguished according
distinguished
to
according
what
to what
wavelengths of light they
wavelengths of
absorb
light they
and which
absorb
ones
and
they
which ones
reflect.
they reflect.
It's like,
It's like,
well, every element
well,
has what we
every
call its
element
own
has
spectral
a spectral
signature.
signature.
If we can read
If we
that
can read
signature, we
the
can
signature,
identify
we
the
can
element.
identify the
And
elements.
that's
And
exactly
that's
what
exactly what
spectroscopy does.
spectroscopy does.
Now, laser
Now, laser
spectroscopy, which is
spectroscopy,
the
which
focus
is
of your
the focus
assignment,
of the
works
assignment,
by
works by
measuring very
measuring very
precisely what
precisely
parts
what
of the
parts of
spectrum
the
are
spectrum are
absorbed by
absorbed
different
by different
substances.
substances.
And it has
And it
applications in
has
a lot of
application
different
in a lot of
disciplines.
disciplines.
And your
And
assignment
your
will be
assignment
to choose a
will be to
discipline
choose
that
a
interests
discipline that
you
interests
and
you
devise an
and
experiment.
devise an
For
experiment.
example,
For
I'm going to talk
example, I'm
about
going to
art.
talk about
I'm
art. I'm
interested in art.
interested in art.
And to me, it's
And to
interesting
me,
how
it's interesting how
spectroscopy is used to
spectroscopy is
analyze
used
art.
to analyze it.
Let's say a
Let's
museum
say a
curator
museum
comes to you
curator
with a
comes to
problem.
you with a
She's come
problem.
across this
She's
painting
coming
that
across
appears
a
to be an
painting which
original, let's
appears to
say a
be original,
Rembrandt,
let's say a
and she wants
Rembrandt,
to
and she
acquire
wants
it
to
for her
acquire it
museum.
for a
But
museum.
she's got a
But
problem.
she's got a
She's not
problem. She's not
absolutely certain
absolutely
it's an
certain it's an
original.
original.
So, what do you do?
So what do you
How
do?
do you
How
determine
do you
whether the
determine
painting's
whether the
authentic?
painting authentic?
Okay, think about
Okay,
the
think
scientific
about the
process.
scientific
You've got a
process.
question.
You got
Is
the
the
question:
painting a
is the
Rembrandt?
painting Rembrandt?
So
So
first, you'd
first,
need to make
you
a
need
list of
to list
characteristics
of
the painting would have
characteristics
to
the
have to
painting.
be a Rembrandt. Then you have to
And then you
discover
have to
whether the
discover
painting in
whether the
question
painting in
has those
question has those
characteristics.
characteristics.
So, first of
So
all,
first of
you'll need
all,
to know the
you need the
techniques Rembrandt
techniques that
used when
Rembrandt
he
used
applied paint
when
to
he
canvas,
applied paint
his
to canvas, his
brushstrokes, how thickly
brushstrokes,
he
how
applied his
thickly
paint.
he applied the
So you'd
paint.
need
So
to
you
work
need
with
to
an art
work with
historian who
art
has
historian
expert
who has
knowledge of
expert knowledge
Rembrandt's
of
style.
Rembrandt's style.
You'd have to know
You have
when
to
he
know
created
when
his
he created
paintings,
his paintings,
what
what
pigments he
pigments
used,
he
in
used,
other
in
words, what
other words, what
ingredients he used to make different
ingredients
colors
to
of
make
paint,
different colors of
because the
paint, because
ingredients
the
used in
ingredients
paints
used in
and
paint
binding
and
agents,
binding
plus
agents
varnishes,
and
finishes, what have
vanishes
you,
and finishes
have changed over
have
time.
changed over time.
Since you're trying
Since
to
you're
verify if
trying
it's
to
a
verify
Rembrandt,
this
the
Rembrandt, the
ingredients in the pigment
ingredients in
would
the
need to have
pigment
been used during
need to
Rembrandt's
use
lifetime in the
lifetime in
17th
the
century.
17th century.
And that's where
And
chemistry
where the
comes in.
chemistry comes in,
You've got to find
you
out
got
what's
to
in
find
those
out what's in
pigments,
those
learn their
pigments,
composition,
learn the
and that
composition,
requires lab
and
work,
their
detective work,
detective
really.
work, really.
In a word,
In a word,
spectroscopy.
spectroscopy.
So, how do we
So,
use
how do we use the
spectroscopy?
spectroscopy?
Well, we put an
We
infrared
put an
microscope,
infrared
a
microscope, a
spectroscope,
spectroscope,
on tiny bits of paint,
tiny bits of
and
paint.
using
And
ultraviolet
using
light, we can
ultraviolet
see the
light, you can
spectral
see the
signature of each
spectral
component
signature
part
of
of the
each
pigment.
component part of the pigment.
Then, we compare
Then we
these
can compare
signatures with
these
those
signatures
of
with
particular
those
elements, like
particular elements
zinc
like
or
zinc
lead,
or lead
to determine
to
what the
determine
pigment
what
was
the
made of.
pigment was made of.
So, you can
So you
see
can
why
see
this type
why
of
this type
analysis
of
requires
analysis
a
requires
knowledge
a
of the
knowledge
history
of
of
the
pigments,
history
right?
of pigments,
How
right?
and when they were made. Say we determine a pigment was made with zinc, for example. We know the
We know
spectral
the
signature
spectral
of zinc,
signature of
and
zinc,
it matches
and
that of
it
the paint
matches
sample.
that of the paint
We
example.
also
We
know that
also know
zinc
that
wasn't
zinc
discovered
wasn't
until the
discovered
18th
until the
century.
18th century.
And since
And
Rembrandt
since
lived during the
Rembrandt
17th
during the
century,
17th
we know
century,
he
we
couldn't
know
have
he
painted it.
didn't paint it.
Now,
Now,
spectroscopy has a
spectroscopy
very
has a
distinct
very
advantage
distinct
over previous
advantage over
methods of
previous
analyzing
methods of
artworks
analyzing
because
artwork
it's not
because it's not
invasive.
invasive.
You don't have to
You
remove
don't have
big
to
chips
remove
of
big
paint to do
chips
your
of paint to
analysis,
your
which is what
analysis,
other
which is
methods
what
require.
other
All you do is train the
how
microscope on tiny
on
flecks of
tiny
paint and
flakes
analyze
and
them.
analyze them.
Now, a
Now,
word or
in
two about
order to
restoration.
restoration.
Sometimes original
Sometimes the
artworks
original
appear
artworks
questionable
appear
or
questionable
inauthentic because they've
because
had so many
they were
restorers
so
add
many
touch-up
restored
layers
touch-up
to cover
layers
up
to
damage
cover
damage from the paint having deteriorated over time? Well, spectroscopy can reveal the composition of those touch-up layers too, so we can find out when they were applied. Then, if we want to undo some bad restoration attempts, we can determine what kind of process we can use to remove them, to dissolve the paint and uncover the original.
Hotels.
Oh,